Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd, the title track of their 1975 album. And it's a great showcase for David Gilmour's acoustic guitar playing. We'll take a look at the structure of the song today. So we start out with this guitar that has like a sort of lo-fi sound on it, and it's a 12-string acoustic guitar. I don't have a 12-string, but just to get the chords across, I want to show you a few techniques. So the first thing that we have to talk about is in the intro, we have this thing that's sort of become a commonplace guitar technique these days, where you keep your pinky on the 3rd fret of the 1st string and your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. So you're holding down a G and D note, and then that stays pretty much the whole time for the chord progression in the intro, and the bottom notes move. So we have this to this, and what you wind up getting there, if we look at these notes, that should be a pretty familiar sound. It's an E minor 7 chord. You have the notes E, G, D, G. Then you have a G chord. D, just by taking your first finger off that D string, from E to open D, G, D, G. It's like a G power chord, right? There's no 3rd. Now, unless you put your full G down like that, then I have a B here. We're going to get the sound of that B note anyway because of the little melodic fragment that's in there. So what is that melodic fragment? Okay, so that's just part of the G major pentatonic scale. G, A, B, D, E. Right? And the motif goes A, B, D, E. And then that E note becomes the root note of the E minor 7. G, E, D. E, D, B, A. So let's take a look at that chord. Mind you, I've still kept my pinky and 3rd finger on those top G and D notes the whole time. So I've got an open A, I've got an E, I've got an open G, I've got a D, and a G. That's like an A7 sus4. And let's look at it like this. If I played a regular A7 chord, A, E, G, C sharp, E, or I'll put the G on the top, right? That's an A7 chord. Well, where's the 3rd? It's here. It's C sharp. It's up a half step now because of the pinky and the 3rd finger on the G and D notes. It's also the exact same thing as E minor 7, the 1st chord, with an A on the bass. So you could also label it E minor 7 over A if you want to be specific about the voicing. But it's really just A7 sus4, okay? All right, so let's review the intro one more time. Into the verse. So let's talk about the verse. We're in the key of G, basically, right? And we're just going to be using diatonic chords. And the first chord that we have is a C chord. Although if you listen very closely on the recording, you could tell that it's actually a C over G. It's got that big, thick sound to it. So it's basically just a regular C chord with a G on the bottom. Right? To a D chord. But then he grabs low F sharp with his thumb. D over F sharp. A minor, straight. G. Now, what did we have there? We had the 4 chord, 5, 2, 1. The second half of the verse is almost identical. He just reverses the first 2 chords. Instead of starting on the 4, he starts on the 5. Then goes the 4, 2, 1. Okay, so we've got almost all of the diatonic chords in the key of G included in this. The only chord that we don't have is a B minor, right? But we have a 1, we have a 2, we have a 4, we have a 5, and then because of the intro, we really do have the 6, even though it's minor 7. It's not just straight minor like that. And that's really the whole chord structure to the song. Now, but the big draw of the tune, apart from the vocals, is the intro guitar solo played on acoustic guitar. And if you've ever tried to play the song and you try to bend strings on an acoustic guitar, your fingers are going to get pretty angry at you. So no issues so far. Now, so that B note, I'm going to go over all the notes in a second, but that B note, that's hard to bend like that. So, when you learn tunes like this, right, certain clues can kind of give it away as to like certain gear, equipment, techniques that, guitarists will use. And to my ear and into my hands, I think like he was probably using light gauge strings on the acoustic. It makes it a lot easier to bend. And if not on all the strings, maybe just on his G string, okay? He knew he was going to be bending those notes, and so to make it a little easier on the hands, right? Now, I have pretty heavy gauge strings on this guitar. I think these are 13s. But I do have this little guy. It's a little Ibanez Traveler guitar. And it doesn't have much in the way of acoustic sound, as you can tell. I rarely play this, but this does, because it's short scale, small size guitar, it has lighter strings on the acoustic. I think these are either 10s or 11s. And now, I can bend that B note much easier. So let's go over what the notes are. These are all notes, again, from the G major pentatonic scale. We're going A to B, slide to D, which is the same thing as, right? E, B, D. See, it's the similar kind of note choices there. So now this is cool. A double pull-off from B to A to G. and then open D. Slide A sharp to B, D. Double stops. Okay, so remember we had the G and D notes here? Same thing, you can slide them up a whole step to A and E. And then slide back down. And then the same kind of thing with A, D, B, E. Open G, D. Pull off A to G. And then reach over and grab G and B like this on the D string and the G string. And I've seen people do that a few different ways, but you know the tip off to why it's there is then you hear him go. That slide is clearly there. I've seen people do it like, which is the open G and still the D ringing, but then you don't have the slide there. So that's a little clue as to how he originally played it. I don't know how he plays it now, but all right, so here's our bending section. A to B again, D to E, and it's double pull off F, E, D. B, D, A, here's the bend on a B. D, E, bend to B, A. And then almost the same lick again. Bend. And so on. Well, I hope you enjoyed that breakdown. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel. There'll be more videos like this to come. Thanks for watching.